Now let's talk about Gideon's favourite topic, free speech. This week, Facebook CEO Mark Zuckerberg was attacked far and wide for just meeting with conservatives. Today, Zuckerberg responded by saying his platform would be committed to free expression as consistent with American values. The Wall Street Journal reports that his comments are likely to inflame critics, mostly from the left, who have argued the company should do more to prevent the spread of misinformation as the 2020 presidential campaign roars into top gear. Gideon, I mean, when they talk about misinformation, they're actually just talking about conservatives having a platform.
They're talking about anything that will cause people to vote for Trump.
That's it.
No matter how reputable and well-resourced it is. Look, I agree with Mark Zuckerberg on this. Of course I agree with Mark Zuckerberg on this. But, you know, don't forget that a little while ago, he was calling for the regulation of the internet to weed out, as he called it, harmful content, whatever that means, and election integrity. As I said, anything that would ruin the integrity of election by getting people to vote for a conservative. And here's what Mark Zuckerberg had to say in March. He said, I believe we need a more active role for governments and regulators. By updating the rules for the internet, we can preserve what's best about it, freedom of expression, while also protecting society from broader harms. I'm sorry, that is talking out of both sides of your mouth. You cannot. You either have all free speech or you have none of it. Mark Zuckerberg, you know, great that he's moving in the right direction now, but it's too little too late. And
you're either a publisher or you're not. You can't have your cake and eat it too. And a lot of those social media platforms are very confused about what precisely they are. Now, Daisy, you would know, being on YouTube and having quite an audience there, just what a hard time conservatives can have with having your content demonetised or just prevented from reaching a wider audience.
Oh, yeah, it's a nightmare, and I live in fear of my channel being demonetised, and we all do now, particularly after what happened in Christchurch. There was this strange crackdown we noticed on channels, so every single video now that I upload has to be manually reviewed by someone at YouTube to make sure it is suitable for all advertisers. I mean, it could be the most banal thing, you know, but everything. I could make a video about puppies and it would go up and it would have to be reviewed. And what YouTube has now, they introduced a whole lot of new terms into their kind of advertiser-friendly agreements, including something they've called borderline content, and by that they mean anything that could possibly turn anyone towards a kind of white supremacist, you know, state of mind. And I use the cringy air quotes because, one, borderline content can mean anything they want it to mean, and white supremacist means anything that's not a kind of globalist left-wing values channel. There's a channel by a guy named James Alsop who says stuff that I don't think is controversial at all, but he's a Trump supporter and he's a nationalist, and he's not particularly fond of Islam. He says quite mainstream stuff, but his whole channel with hundreds of thousands of subscribers got demonetized, so that's all of his income gone because he was deemed borderline content for reciting facts. So this Mark Zuckerberg can, as you say, can talk all he wants about free speech, but this isn't anything to do with him. This is because he sees the writing on the wall in terms of the regulators who are coming after him now, and all these calls by Trump, but also people like Elizabeth Warren to break up Facebook into tiny little parts because they just buy out all the competition, which makes for a not very free market. So sorry, Zuckerberg, but I'm not quite taking this at face value.
Oh, yeah, I think there'll be a lot who are with you, who do not trust these big social media platforms or the people running them.